made that possible, technology. So what it boils down to is that if your presence as a regulator is not felt everywhere, you become inefficient. So if you have just, let's say, one office, taking, like, until recently, we only had one office in Wa, superintending over the entire Upper West region, and even Savannah. Remember, making sure the work is properly done boils down to enforcement. Okay, signing off the license and say, hey, take your document, get to work, is just one aspect of the whole thing. The real job is enforcing the various rules and regulations to ensure that whatever license or lease the government of Ghana has given to that person or entity, he will not only follow it, but he's doing the work, he's spending the money, he's protecting the environment. Okay? Then how do you do that? It means the various mine inspectors, whether they are metallurgy, they are mechanical in charge of machine, whether they are electrical, or whether they are even mining engineers, their duty is to frequently visit the various operational sites to ensure that you are following the rules. That is what inspection is all about. And there's a whole division that is supposed to do that, the so-called inspectorate division of the commission. So if you have just one office to take care of about 2-3 regions, then what it simply means that you can go to a site maybe once in 2-3 months. Clearly, the mining company, they may be a bit relaxed. But when the company knows that, hey, the inspectors are coming to this place every week or perhaps daily, they'll sit up. Okay? So the Bibiani mine, for example, is just 5 minutes from our office. Like where I'm seated here now, I could just see the mine across the road. Chirano is just 30 minutes from our office. That the two mines are owned by Asante Gold, which is close to 50% Ghanaian and state ownership. And then Ghana Bauxite, which has been around since 1941. Okay, that is in the course of the Second World War when this mine was established. So that's about 80-something years, 84 perhaps. So all these 3 mines are within that vicinity. So if you have to handle these mines, the 3 of them, in just one municipality, that is the Bibiani and we also Bekwai municipality, in addition to several thousands of small-scale miners, that means 2 things come at play here. You got to have the men, the inspectors. Then you got to have officers, people well trained, well equipped to be able to go there. Because once the operators know that, look, the inspectors from Minerals Commission are going to come regularly to this place, that means that they'll sit up. It's like this road across Asaase Radio. Okay? If would-be thieves or criminals know very well that the period between maybe 9 or 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., there are constant police patrols. No criminal will come here. No thief will come here because he risks being arrested. He has to go and ply his trade somewhere else. It is the same thing I'm trying to explain here. So one, the offices are needed for presence, for visibility, so that we put our men on the ground. So what is this 10 that we've started, within the last 2 years? 2 gone. So Achimda office. Whatever you saw on the pictures in the front pages of the various papers on Thursday is typically our district office, normal model office for the district. It's the same design and structure, what you are seeing in Bibiani, that we did on 5th June for Achimda, so 2 to go. There is one we are currently constructing in Chebi, very beautiful, because between our head office, which is just 5 minutes or so from here, and our regional office in Koforidua, that whole stretch, there's no office. So it means that they have to rely a little bit on Koforidua, they have to rely sometimes on Accra and also Akimoda. It means that will reduce the frequency of inspections and monitoring, and the officers will get overwhelmed. Okay. So there are a lot of activities around Fantia Kwasav, Osino, East Achim, West Achim, Etiwa, East, all those areas, the Buakwa North and South. All these areas currently are being managed from Akimoda. So if you live in Fantia Kwasav, Osino, or you're around Etiwa, east and west. Both are very rich in mineral resources. You have to rely on the officer in Akimoda. But once our Chibi office is up and doing by the first quarter of next year, it means that you don't have to send inspectors from Akimoda again. They will have to concentrate on the Birim North, South, that area, KD and all those things. Then the Chibi office will take care of that stretch. That's how it works. So that takes us to number 3. We are building what people still are yet to come to terms with the fact that it's not a hotel. Just sharing what with Rattray Park. If you're in Lancaster, formerly Golden Tulip, you see it. An 8-story building. Okay. In Kumasi. By far, it's going to be the most iconic building in Kumasi. We hope to get it launched in November. Okay. It comes with a whole lab. We do a lot of testing. It's all part of inspection and regulation. Yeah. You test equipment, you test staff to make sure that everything is safe. As we speak, it's just a shame that we have only one lab in the whole of Ghana in Takoradi. Okay? Yeah. And how do you do that when new mines are popping up? So the commission new office in Kumasi will come with a molding lab and a museum also to tell our story. So that will handle 4 large-scale operations. By far, the biggest gold mine in Ghana is that of Newmont in Ahafo South. So it will come under the jurisdiction of the regional office in Kumasi. Then 30 kilometers north of Ahafo South, another monster mine is coming up. That will be ready mid-year next year. Okay, so that Newmont corridor will do about 1 million ounces. Today's price, that is about $2.5 billion. Then Obuasi. Then you have Asanko. So the Kumasi office will superintend and monitor these 4 large-scale operations, not small-scale, because we have a small-scale office in Obuasi. Obuasi has, 50,000 plus small-scale miners. Typically, the regional offices are responsible for large-scale operations. Okay. Yes. So that takes our tally to number 4. I've mentioned Achimida and Bibiani, both commissioned. Chibi, number 3. Number 4 is Kumasi. Then we are building another 5-story in Tamale. That will also come with a lab. Okay. Because so currently, Newmont and all those guys go to Takoradi to test their equipment. That's Herculean, and it makes you inefficient. I don't know. I don't want to believe that Standard Board has everything in just a golf house there. I'm sure they may have facilities across Ghana or FD. Yeah. I mean, FD, and yes, you got to be everywhere. Yeah. Other than that, what should be delivered in a week will take months, because they'll say, we are bringing everything to Standard Authority in Accra. We don't want to work that way. So that Takoradi will handle that huge underground mine in Wasa. Okay? Takoradi will handle that, the lab there. Then there's a big mine, Idua Prim, which share basically, they are just across with Takwa and then Adamus. So all these huge operations and Prestia, which has just been cancelled, they will be managed from Takoradi lab office for testing. Okay, we do rope tests and all kinds of things. Now, up north, the so-called New Frontier. So it means that we are not expecting perhaps to become the 3rd largest mine in Ghana, Cardinal, which will be commissioned in November by His Excellency the President. It's a huge mine. Perhaps the only 2 mines that will eclipse it in terms of size will be Ahafo South, the current operations of Newmont, and Takwa. Both are over 500,000 ounces, but this one will do a little over 300. So it's even bigger than Obuasi. I don't expect, if we want to be efficient, for that mine should be coming to Kumasi for testing. No. So the Tamale office, which will also come with a lab, should handle that one, and Azuma, while Upper West will also have a new mine. Construction will start perhaps late this year. Okay. Because we're going to see 4 big operations this year. And for the next 3-4 years, we'll have what we call commission galore. So we have Cardinal, which will be commissioned in November. Next year, Ahafo North, mid-year will commission. That's a gold mine. Both are gold. 2026, Azuma and lithium. The last time we saw a new mine was about 2013, about 11 years ago. It tells you that there's a problem with exploration. Why? Because you see, it is through exploration that you create a pipeline of projects. What is leading to the downturn? We'll discuss that perhaps in our next segment. So that takes a tally to what? 5, 6?
6.
And then we are building a new regional office in Bali. That will be ready in November.
Okay.
And let me make this point clear. It's not politics we are doing here. The construction of our district and regional offices have nothing to do with political or administrative, regional or district capitals. Sometimes it's just sheer coincidence. I mean, Bibiani or Bebiani is not the regional capital of Western North. The regional capital is Effiu also. But I've just told you that in that municipality, there are 3 big mines. Ghana Bauxite, Asante Gold Chirano, Asante Gold Bibiani. So it doesn't make sense to go and put the office in Effiu also. With time.
Well, if you're a key stakeholder
yes,
in your
you got to be closer
right?
to the operations.
Right.
And with time, if mining activities pick up around Effiu also, then we could have a satellite office. I mean, we've had satellite offices that have been upgraded to
regional
district, and district have become region. Like Wa, as we speak, it was a district office. Now we have upgraded it to a regional office because a large-scale operation is coming up. So our regional office for Savannah is coming up in Bali. It will be commissioned in November because almost all the mining activities, Savannah is the biggest region in Ghana, takes place from that Bali stretch all the way, the western half of Savannah, Tinga, Dakrupe, all the way to the Ivorian border. That whole stretch, and it's all full of gold. So that is what we're going to have. Other than that, it is a district office. It used to be under Wa, but then it has become a region just like Wa. Then it's unfortunate I didn't bring the pictures. I will have shown them. I still have them. Maybe on the when we go on break, I'll see whether I could upload them for you. And then the other one, so that viewers will see what we're doing. Then we're also having another regional office in Upper East Region. We have a very beautiful district office which was just refurbished. It will be handed over to us, I think maybe end of this month. But we are building a new regional office because Cardinal Mine is just 30 minutes away. We don't want to put so much pressure on Tamale because in northern region you have this massive iron ore deposit at Zabzugu Tatale, the Shani iron ore deposit. So the idea of creating regions and opening up more district offices is to lessen the stress on the inspectors. Other than that, there'll be so much stress on them. So, and then there's one in Daman. Then I hope that sometime next month, early next month, we will commission or cut the sword rather for perhaps what will be our second most important structure after the Kumasi one, a 5-story building in Takwa, which by far will befit the status, of Takwa. We normally call the Takwa the mining capital of Ghana. It has a very huge mine, the Takwa mine, which until recently consistently was the biggest gold mine in Ghana. And then just, I don't want to use the word sharing wall, just across, you have the Duaprim mine. Takwa is owned by Anglo Goldfields, and the Duaprim is owned by Anglo Gold Ashanti. Both are seeking to combine their assets to have what we call by far the biggest gold complex in Africa. And Takwa has all kinds of companies providing various services. So, for example, there are about 2 labs, Intertech and Co, that are operating in Takwa. Apart from that, the Takwa in Swahim environs hosts close to about 100,000 small-scale miners. So it is the mining capital of Ghana, even though our first large-scale commercial mine started in Obuasi as far back as 1867. So by far, I would like to take this opportunity to praise my minister and by extension the government for this investment that they are making in Minerals Commission. This is only happening in 3 years. Okay? Within the last 3 years. And then people marvel, how are you able to get all these things done within a short period? Hopefully 5, 6 can be commissioned this year. So to repeat Bibiani Achimda, we will definitely see our mighty Kumasi Benin being commissioned, Tamale will be commissioned, Bole will be commissioned, and perhaps we'll get Daman also commissioned. The rest will be commissioned anytime between January and by the close of the first quarter of next year. So in terms of infrastructure by way of offices, and the offices come with modern equipment. I mean, computers, they are hooked online 24 hours and that kind of thing. So infrastructure-wise, this is what the government is doing to equip us to make us more effective and efficient. Then comes the next question. So I'll tell you, is it the sail out of the wind or the wind out of the sail, whichever. Do you have the men? My answer is a big yes. Staff strength for Minerals Commission is almost about 400. We have the men. Let me say this or start this way. Ghanaian mining engineers and geoscientists are some of the finest in the world, not Africa. You heard me, let me repeat. Our mining engineers and geoscientists, but I mean our geologists, are some of the finest in the world. It's all because of our history. 100 years of mining, the quality, it's just mind-boggling. We are, and then let me add one more thing. Ghana is a major exporter of skills when it comes to mining. Ghanaians in Western Australia. Western Australia is the biggest mining hub in the world. There are several Ghanaians who are working in Australia. Okay? You find them in Canada, you find them in US, you find them in South Africa, and any mining company coming to Africa, when they are looking for talent, when they are looking for persons, whether men or women, to recruit, the first place they hit is Ghana. Don't tell me it's a brain drain. No, we don't have the medical situation because they keep coming back. A few good examples. For instance, the managing director of Obuasi Mine. By the way, many of the mines are run by Ghanaians now. You take Iduaprim, a little over 700 workers, everybody from MD to cleaner is Ghanaian. As a young lawyer 20 years ago, Minerals Commission, you go to meeting, you see white faces. So Samuel Pobi spent most of his life or career in Australia. He's a very well-trained mining engineer and did a lot of work in East Africa. He was recruited and came back as MD of Iduaprim, and barely a month or two, they've moved him from Iduaprim to Obuasi. It's the same Anglo-Good Ashanti family. And we can go on and on. Several of them, they keep returning. We've put all of them in a database. So when companies apply to us and say, hey, I need a metallurgist, I need this person, and they bring the person specification or approval, we say we have a database, go there and recruit. So if we are expecting questions from you, or perhaps when people call in and say, oh, are we not losing people like the nurses and doctors? Mining is rather different. So that is that. So we have the men. And let me say that in our area, when we say inspectors, we are not talking about the police kind of thing. Of course, the kind of work they do, it can be akin to, it's like police work.
Okay.
But what kind of inspectors work at Minerals Commission? We have the mining engineers. Then we have those who look at the processing plant. That's like your DNA. It's like having a house without a toilet. Without a processing plant, nothing can work. When your processing plant breaks down, that's it. How are you going to process it all? So the processing plant, you have people who are metallurgists, those who do mineral engineering, or those who do metallurgical engineering at UMAT or KNUST, or even chemical engineers. Okay, so when you read chemical engineering, you could be trained as a processor or work on the processing plant. So we have inspectors who have metallurgical or chemical engineering background. Then we have inspectors who come from mechanical engineering background. What some people, I remember those days when I offered mechanical engineering at the university, they say, oh, book Mufita. But it's a very serious skill at the mining sector. Very, very important skill. Everything at the mine is machinery. Everything at the mine is machinery. So, maintenance engineer, all those machines there, it is the duty of the Inspectorate Division of Minerals Commission to make sure that the machines are modern, they are in good shape, they are not likely to break down and cause accidents and hurt both the mine workers and even anybody. So you need mechanical engineers to ensure that your equipment, your plant, your machines, everything are in order. They are trained at KNUST, and I want to believe folks in UMAT also train them. So we also need those people. Then we also need electrical engineers. There are electrical installations everywhere, whether underground, whatever. So you need an inspector electrical to go to the mine and make sure that your wiring system, everything is in order. Even these days, UMAT has introduced a course called Health and Safety Engineering. Now, when it comes to underground, it's a different ball game altogether. So a mine like Obuasi, a kilometer deep, or Wasa, which is investing $1 billion, Wasa in Achimpim, it will be twice the depth of Obuasi. Underground, everything is ventilation. So you need your engineers to be very good in ventilation. Somebody who asks, is the training in Ghana here adequate? No. We have two types of, talent comes two ways from the Minerals Commission. People leave the mines and enjoying us. A lot of people are leaving the mine and joining us now. So there's a lady called Charity Akroma. She spent 10 years at the largest processing plant in Ghana, Takwa. And she joined us about 3 years ago. She has experience in both plants and then at the lab there. So processors or metallurgists, you also have mining engineers, you have mechanical engineers, you have electrical. And every regional office must have, electrical engineers, must have metallurgists and co. Several of them, because when some are heading to, let's say, Ahafo from the Kumasi office, some are going to Asanko, some are going to Obuasi and all those things. Now, we have by far the most comprehensive, and I'm not boasting, by far the most comprehensive, well laid out, well planned training program that any public institution can boast of in Ghana. Okay. Because more often than not, people talk about, there's no money, the quality of people in the various public institutions are not efficient, that's why regulation, etc. We don't have that kind of language or vocabulary at Minerals Commission. So I'll give you a few examples. We have close to almost about 40 people who are studying outside. 40, you heard me, I didn't say 4.
Yeah, 40.
Yes, 40. In fact, this Wednesday when we commissioned Bibiani, the officer there has just come from the famous Campbell School of Mines in UK. So he did not only come with fresh knowledge, he came to a fresh office. So we take them to the best of the best. So what is the best mining engineering school in the world? Colorado School of Mines. We have close to about 4 or 5 people who are studying mining engineering there. One lady just returned. The best mining engineering school in Australia is Curtin University, which is also number 2 in the world. We have almost about 12 staff studying there, both men and women. You go to South Dakota School of Mines in US, we have engineers studying there. We have them at New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. We have them in Queen's University. The Canadian ones are also very good. And then some also go to South Africa. So we are training our people in Canada, the finest. We train our people in US, several of them. We're training them in Australia, University of Western Australia, Curtin, University of New South Wales. These are the best mining engineering schools in the world. We're training them in the only mining engineering school in UK, Campbell School of Mines, where the likes of Sam Jonah and co. cut their teeth. And the beauty of our training, you finish, you don't rush home. My time, I joined Minerals Commission in April 2002. That's about 22 and a half years ago. So we've seen a lot. We've gone through the rope. We are not claiming monopoly of knowledge. My time, maximum not more than 2 weeks, perhaps a month. Once you finish your program, you have to return. We have changed that because you see, you have to move forward as a nation. I always say this. My father is a lawyer. He's passed on. He had almost close to about 40 years practice. Okay, his contemporaries are the likes of the president and lawyer Kujetu and co. If he's alive, he'll be 91. I'm also a lawyer, and I want to believe that I'm expected to be a better lawyer than my father. So it is that one of my children should also be better than me. So if my time, my generation, because I was trained in Canada, I studied mining law in Canada, I studied in UK. So as one of the biggest beneficiaries of what my predecessors did, the least I could do as now a CEO is also take my people through what I went through and even perhaps take it a notch higher. So when you finish your training in some of these fine mining engineering schools, and some we get 100% scholarship, some 25, some 50, where it's not 100%, we pay the rest. So you stay at the mine and work 2-3 years. Don't tell me they will not return. I just told you the officer in charge of the Obuasi office and the officer in charge of Bibiani office, both that went to Cambon School of Mines, came back last week. Mm-hmm. There's a lady who went to Korea School of Mines, came 2 months ago. And one is due 26, and then 2 more are coming in December. So this year alone, out of the nearly 40, 6 are going to return. 3 actually have also returned. Now, so you have, for instance, the officer in Takwa. He was taken to the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. That's a specialized university.
Right. So in essence, what you're doing is ensuring that your manpower or the human capital available to you is fit for purpose for today's needs and the near future, because the space is evolving.
Not just fit for purpose, better than those at the mines.
Okay.
I gave this example yesterday at Asempa. Thursdays are quite my heavy media days. I do Metro in the morning, I do Asempa or in the afternoon, and do normally DTV on Wednesday. And then at Dome, I've slack here, but I'll keep up the pace now. Except that your mornings are too early for me, but I have to.
We'll figure a way out.
Ghanaians need the knowledge. Let me tell you this. And I want you to listen carefully and let certain things run through your mind after listening to me. This particular point I'm going to make. So that tells you that if you joke with training, you sold the whole nation off. You have basically mortgaged the life of 35 million plus Ghanaians. And let me put it this way. So take a company like Newmont Mining Corporation. Currently, they run 2 mines in Ghana. The famous Ahafo mine, which is the biggest producer of gold, which is the biggest gold mine in Ghana, and the one in Achim. Okay, the Achim one is being sold. Now they are building a 3rd mine, 30 kilometers north of their current operation. That's Ahafo North. It will be commissioned mid-year next year. Now, the entire last year, according to Bank of Ghana, not according to Martin Ayisi, our total exports, that is everything that left Sikaman, everything that left gorgeous Ghana, was about $13.65 billion. That's our total export from pepper, non-traditional export, nutmeg, whatever you want to call it, okay? Whatever we exported, oil, gold, whatever. $13.6 billion. I mean, that's the whole of last year, and perhaps gold can deliver that this year. Gold alone can deliver, a little over 10 billion this year. So I was quite happy when I hear that the economy is performing. Now, Newmont took $13.8 billion, went to Australia, and bought the biggest gold mining company in Australia, Newcrest, for about $13.8 billion. If you like, roughly $14 billion. So the amount of money Newmont spent in acquiring Newcrest Australia is at least $200 million more than the entire export of Ghana. Just listen carefully. I want you to understand that. Now, Newmont is an American company. American company, we are told what? America, we are told what? Has a quarter of the world's GDP. And Newmont is the biggest producer of gold on planet Earth. Okay? Now you have, Newmont has been around for like 100 years. They are in so many countries. They are in Africa, they are in South America, they are in America proper, they are in Australia. They are all over the place. So such a company, perhaps somebody will say that their market capitalization is more than half of your GDP. Such a company comes here and is operating 2 mines, building a 3rd one, and has a deep mine in Ghana, Subika. So you can see the state-of-art technology, the quality that will come with training and machine and the kind of things they will deploy in Ahafo or Achim, which is about going underground. So an inspector from Minerals Commission, whether for processing plant, metallurgy, or chemical engineering background, or whether for machinery, mechanical, or whether for electricals, when you enter Subika underground, Okay, that operation this year will do 725,000 ounces. Just multiply it by over 2,000 and see. You're talking about 1.5 billion. When you enter that kind of operation, the first thing that an inspector, okay, the first thing that should cross your mind is for you to be able to spot a potential health and safety hazard. Okay, so you enter the underground and the shaft and electricals and things are not in order. It means that we could have a collapse, a cave-in, or if the dams are not good. Okay, before you realize there's water, there's some flooding, then there's a breach, like what happened in Brumadinho. So then you ask yourself, what are your technical engineers doing? Were they not good enough? Or when they started constructing the TSF dam, where are your people? So that is the kind of situation we are faced with. Takwa, huge mine, over 500,000 ounces a year. The one the Chinese are building up north. One of these days, I'll gather all the journalists and take you there to go and see a real-world operation. So if you have these billions kind of operations and state-of-the-art technology, at least the list, the worst-case scenario is that a MINCOM inspector should be at par in terms of knowledge, professional competencies, and skill with the guy at the mine, if not better. So why we are doing what we are doing is a kind of scenario I'm painting. So we take our people not only to just go and learn, but they work in mine. So my favorite example I gave yesterday at Asempa is a young chap called Bright Akun. Studied geological engineering, worked in the private sector for a while, and then joined us. He joined us about 5 years ago. He was running our Takwa office. He used to be in Asankagwa as a deputy. Then we moved him to Takwa. He got a 50% scholarship. We have some arrangement with some of these mining engineering universities. So they gave us about 50% scholarship. So we have about 6 of our staff there. He went there to go and do mining engineering, specializing in geotech. Geotech is a most sought after skill in the mining area. Yeah. Your dams, all those things, the pits, the slopes. Yeah. You can just go and say, no, there could be a cave in here. He stopped the operations. So he completed school together with one Sandra, who used to run the Kenya office. Both graduated, with flying colors in May. Actually, May 11, we watched the graduation live. Before that, the American system is such that during the long vac, you got to go to the mine for training. So after 1 year, that 3 months, they got a job at Nevada Gold Mines. Now listen carefully, Nevada Gold Mines is the single largest gold complex in the world. It is about 1.37 kilometer deep. Okay, Obuasi here, our deepest is a kilometer. I mean, the deepest mines are in South Africa. I think 7 or 8 out of the 10. Now, another interesting stuff, Nevada Gold Mines is not only the single largest gold complex in the world, but it is owned by the 2 biggest producers of gold in the world, Barrick Gold Corporation and Newmont. Now, this chap has started work there since June. Last year, he did 3 months there. We're going to keep him there for 2-3 years. It's underground. Okay? And then there's another gentleman who we took to Curtin, which is Australia's best and number 2 in the world, Collins Akwe. He completed sometime in January this year. He's working in Northern Star. Northern Star is the second biggest producer of gold in Australia after Newmont now, because Newmont has bought Newcrest, which is number 1. He's working in an underground. He's bought his ticket. He's due here in December. And even Sandra, who is working in Freeport. I'm sure you have heard of Freeport McMoran. You can Google that. She's also working there. So then there's this young guy called Prince. Prince is in our Obuasi office. We took him to Queen's University, which is also very good for mining engineering. That's where the Vice Chancellor of UMAT attended. He did his 1 year. Now he's working 16 months in an underground mine in a company called Timmins. So if you look at the likes of Prince in Canada, Bright in US, Sandra, Freeport, and Collins in Northern Star, when they come back in 2-3 years, and then they enter Subika Underground, or they enter Wasa, or they go to Akroma Gold in Eastern Region, which is an underground mine, or they go to El International, which is a neighboring mine to the big one being with Cardinal. they know their stuff. I mean, the knowledge, the confidence. We are training our people in mines that the engineers at all the gold mines in Ghana or bauxite and manganese mine will have loved to work. Any mining engineer will have loved to work in Freeport, will have loved to work in a place like Nevada Gold Mines. So that is a quality. And they know.
It makes sense when you say that.
And they will come back.
You don't want a situation where, due to inefficiency or lack of knowledge and appreciation of global standards, we end up mortgaging, because a small accident underground is a big disaster.
You have a collapse. And my brother and my sister, the big guys even create problems. You've heard of Brumadinho. It's an iron mine that is owned by Brazil's icon mining company, Vale. Vale is one of the largest mining companies in the world, not just for iron ore. It's their everything. It's like Saudi Arabia, Aramco. When you mention Vale, that is the face of Brazil. Okay? And then BHP. BHP is by far the largest mining company in the world. I think they've dropped to number 2 or 3. And Samarco mine, iron ore, was owned by both Brazil, Vale, and BHP. We had a dam collapse.
Yeah. And
it collapsed. Brumadinho.
Disastrous.
Oh, yeah.
Not cost on people and lives, and rebuild.
They are paying billions in compensation.
Yeah.
You read about that. And then Mount Poly in Canada, there was also a collapse.
Yeah.
So if dams could collapse in places like Brazil, mines run by some of the big players in the world whose market capitalization pays more than our GDP. In Canada, with such a strong mining history, dams will collapse. Okay? And many of our gold mines here are even bigger than some of the gold mines in some of these countries. If you joke, you are putting 35 million Ghanaians at risk. So for us, there's nothing like Gama will say, Wabeshka. Government, and I dove off my heart for my minister and by extension the government. Wherever they have to find the money for us, they have to find the money to give our people the best.
You mentioned earlier that the Newmont Achim mine is up for sale. I mean, I picked up some news that the global CEO of Newmont is in Ghana to...
news or intelligence?
Well, intel.
Okay.
So you can help me clarify that. What can you say about it? Is it true that it's being sold?
Well,
to
I've also picked intelligence like you.
Okay.
Or if you like to use your term news, that folks from Newmont are in town.
Okay.
Yes, it was advertised, and they told government all over the world that, look, we want to offload Achim. Achim has been in operation since, they are still producing since 2013. So it's like 11 years now. It has a huge potential. Now they're about to go underground.
Okay.
And they said, look, we want to sell it, which is typical in the mining industry, mergers and acquisitions. It's typical, both mining and petroleum, so that they concentrate on their HAFO corridor. I'm sure they've gone through all the processes. We are aware. I'm sure they've completed by now, and I want to believe perhaps they are in town to come and tell government we made a decision.
Okay.
Yes, so maybe in the next days or weeks ahead, this will be made public by the minister.
Okay.
That look, the process has been completed. Government is fine or government is not fine. We'll leave that to government. By that I mean the minister to formally tell Ghanaians who is taking over. And where do we go from there?
What's your opinion on where, or rather, what would you have to say? Because the intelligence that I got was talking about Newmont wanting to sell to the Chinese. We don't know that for a fact yet. But hypothetically, if that ever happened, what would be your take on a deal like that, especially against the backdrop of the president's own State of the Nation address?
Indigenization.
Indigenization. And mind you, I think that mine has a certain government interest. I think with MIF, Minerals Investment.
Every mine in Ghana has government interest.
There you go.
Not just government, the people of Ghana.
Okay.
We are part owners.
Good.
Some are even 20% like Ghana Bauxite. Some are even close to 40% like Asante Gold. Okay, yeah, so we have a stake in it. In fact, even if you have zero shareholding, once you're operating here, the state or the republic has a stake, because then you are impacting environment. We want to know whether you are paying 2 cedis in taxes instead of 50 pesos, etc. My response, quick response to that question, I'll be lying to you if I tell you that the Chinese or X company or whatever has grabbed it. As I said, I know they are in town. They are having discussions at very high level. I mean, that's how the architecture of government works. So why don't we be patient and wait for my great minister to say, oh, we've been advised by Newman that after their review and their processes, they settle on company A. I mean, minister will make this public once they've gone through all the files and all the documentation. And then the final decision rests with government as to whether we are okay, we are not okay. But if I sit here and tell you that, oh, it is true or it's not true, I'll be lying to you. But trust me, in some days or weeks perhaps, the minister will come out formally and tell the whole world that, oh, okay, the change process has been completed. This is a company that has won the bid, or government is okay or government is not okay. Let's leave that to the minister to make that formal announcement on behalf of the president who holds all the mineral resources in trust for the good people of this country.
You forecasted the sector crossing, especially for gold, crossing the 10 billion mark this year. And that's something that excites me. But I look back at news where we had a period, I'm trying to remember what year it was, but it's definitely in the last 4 or 5 years, where the vice president is quoted as saying, our gold receipts was about X amount. But in Dubai alone, they claim they have imported far more gold. And it leads to the big elephant in the room, Galamsey. If we're going to cross 10 billion in gold receipts, I'm guessing this is coming from legitimate mining. How much of a dent has Galamsey made on our receipts? Not even the environment. That I think we can see for ourselves. And what do you think can be done? Views have been shared. What's your view on what we need to be doing to ensure that, one, we're safeguarding our environment, but more importantly, that we're encouraging sustainable mining that makes an impact on the bottom line?
All right, 2 things. A little bit of history is important here. And I always want to discuss small scale and Galamsey issues by looking at what is actually the situation on the ground, and I'll be blunt about it. Until 1989, it was not possible for any Ghanaian individual enterprise entity, howsoever you want to describe it, to walk to Minerals Commission, which was created in 1986, to say, can you give me some authorization, or a document for me to go and mine on a small scale? It's been illegal. But our account folks, particularly the Ashantis, have been using gold, all the way from the 15th century. Throughout the colonial period, this was discouraged. The British discouraged it. Dawn of independence in Nkrumah, through Busia, to Champon, Liman, all the way, even throughout up to 1989, it was discouraged. Then remember that almost all these big mines were once owned by government and run by government. So sometimes when I hear people saying that, oh, we don't own the mines, even though now government is coming back to find a different way of indigenizing the sector through MIF and co. We'll come to that. Where perhaps we'll not be able to discuss that today. How do we indigenize the sector?
Yeah, it will be good,
we'll discuss that as a whole topic. But just to address this small scale conundrum. So at Champon, for example, taking commanding heights of the economy, a lot of things were nationalized in the 70s. We are not the only people who did that. Kaunda did that. So Zambia consolidated copper mines. A lot of countries in the developing world, Chile, Pinochet, they all did that, the copper mines. And then, as typical of us, or the way we run state institutions, to the extent that times are good, okay, life goes on. But you see, Mining is a different thing altogether. Once you are mining, you need to invest also in exploration to extend life of the mine.
That's right.
You see, if Newmont that started producing sometime in 2006, the current Ahafo mine.
That's right.
If they did not, because it's the same it's the same lease. If they were not continuously spending money on exploration, either to find more gold and by extension extend mine life, they will not have found this huge deposit that they say, oh, it can even be a standalone mine.
Yeah.
So exploration is everything. So we were not investing in exploration. We were taking the money, and somebody will say nyafu nyafu. Then gold price took a huge dip or nosedive. Then the mines could not run, either in Zambia or Ghana. And then, of course, state-owned institutions, square person, round hole, political interference, those things. I mean, the Ghana Airways, the Georg family, all those things. Georg Pharmaceuticals, Georg this, all those state institutions that we ran down. The reasons are, no, if you do public administration, they will teach you this thing. So we sold them off. So, Kwesi Boatwell era, when I was the Minister for Finance, we had to go to IMF and World Bank. And then, remember Economic Recovery Program,
ERP2,
ERP2, Xtra adjustment, PAMS card, and all those nonsense, in quote, which have never worked. They only gave some relief. So the mines were sold. So Takwa, which you see now, that monster mine, was once owned by Ghanaians. We sold it. The South African came in, bought it like $3 million. Yeah. Okay, we sold Bokozo, Prestia. And then those days, we used to dredge properly in the water body, Ofin Dunkwa. Proper dredging, not the kind of thing we see. So all these were sold. Ghana bauxite, all those things were offloaded. They say you cannot run them and sell them. We sold them. And then the World Bank said, look, this is your small-scale gold and diamond thing that your folks have been doing since creation. You know something? Your diamonds and gold are in Togo. So, and those guys don't produce even a carat or an ounce of gold. So why don't you? Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. Why?
I can only laugh, but the matter is not funny.
Yes.
They don't produce that thing, but the thing is there.
They don't produce the thing. Yes. You understand? They don't produce the thing. Okay? So it's like you go and lock the door, you don't want your daughter to go out, they'll jump the wall. Okay? You put the electric fence, she tells the other sister in the house and said, disconnect the thing. Okay? Yeah.
I'll be back soon.
Oh yeah. So that's what happened. And then the World Bank and IMF advised that now that you have sold off the last scale ones, allow people to do it lawfully. So quickly we passed 3 laws. PNDC law 217, 218, 219. That is small scale gold law. Mercury law. Actually, a law was passed to allow them to use mercury. Okay? No, but not we had,
in a way.
No, here we had this mercury retort that's able to So small scale gold law. You have the mercury law, and then PMC was actually also supposed to now buy the gold, because when you produce the gold, somebody must buy it. Do you understand? PMC, which is still exists and is still the government as here. So these laws were passed. Small scale gold law to repeat, mercury law and co. That's what happened. And then offices were created in 5 regions, barely 50,000 people. So Asante, Eastern, Central, Western, which included what is now Western North, Eastern region, and Upper East region. And we created district offices here so that we do licenses for them. The initial CEO was Kofi Ansa, who is around, great man, and also Professor Kilakwa Sawyer. The advice was that give money to geological survey every year so that they do geological investigation, so that we can give more areas for the small-scale miners. Nanaya, my brother, 30 years, government upon government sat down and did nothing. The annoying part is that, when you tell them, but what is a chance of success? 5% chance of hitting a goal. Get out. We have guinea worm, we have schools under trees, we have malaria and things to contend with. We sat down and did nothing. Governments after government for 30 years at least, because government has started now. And before we realize, enter technology. 5 regions, now 12, 13 regions. 50, 100,000, 3 million people. And that is what we are faced with now. So small-scale mining activities is supporting 3 million livelihoods. Barely 35 years ago, it was, barely 100,000. And it has spread from 5 to 13 regions because of inactions of various governments in pumping money in geological investigation. So our biggest headache. So when I hear people say all kinds of things, I say, look, you need to understand the cause of illegal mining. The fundamental cause or driver of illegal mining is getting a place for the miners to work. Because we sat down for 30 years, we refused to resource geological survey. But now I realize that, not knowing all those things we've been saying on Metro TV, Asaase Radio and Co., not knowing all the political parties are listening. So I was quite relieved, and the happiest day was when the Vice President announced that every year he would make available the equivalent of $10 million for geological survey to do the investigation. I saw the NDC manifesto. They said they also resource geological survey, except that it was short on money, how much, and then where it's going to come from. But at least for once, government finally has recognized that the issue is lack of geological investigation, which will have identified areas for the miners to work. So Nanaya, my brother, just to summarize, until we sort out the issue of getting a place for the miners to work, deploy the entire Ghana army, put every 35 million Ghanaian in uniform, the problem will not go away. You might be able to take them from the water body because that is annoying, but they will still be digging everywhere. So that is what we have come to. It's our own failings, and it's the same thing. People building Ramsar site, the whole of Wager Dam is covered by an EI, and nobody was supposed to build there. When the flooding comes, they open the dam, then the water will just go and get into the sea. There are houses there, several thousands of houses there. Nobody can get a title because it's covered by EI. That's the kind of nation we are faced with. And Zimbabwe, is going to the same thing. There's a town called Kwekwe. They are digging everywhere, it risks collapse. And almighty South Africa, the entire Johannesburg is being blown up. They call it Zamazama. So this little bit of history is important. But that is not an excuse for us to say the middle look-alike Pra and Cobra should not be dealt with. But this history is important. People, and I know, are oblivious of this. Until we deal with this problem, won't go anywhere. It will take some time.
Right. I'm happy to have had you in the studio. We're very, very grateful, and we're ending this conversation. But I'm keen on this. I'm keen on this Achim mine sale.
Maybe by next week, by the time I'll be coming here, the minister will have made a formal announcement to the good people of this country as to how the purported.
Should even the idea of considering
what is going through your mind?
Yeah, so I would have expected that, in line with the indigenization agenda, that this conversation would be about the Ghanaian partners in there.
Okay, so let me quickly,
I think Asante, there's MIF as well.
Let me quickly make this point. I know our time is up, but we can't finish today. This is public knowledge. When Newmont approached government and said, I want to dispose of Achim and concentrate on a Ahafo corridor. We said, fine. Measures and acquisitions is typical of the mining sector in the world. The first thing the government did was that we told them, and he followed up with a formal letter, that one of the cardinal policies of this government is to indigenize the sector. That is not to say we are throwing away foreigners or we don't want foreign investment. If you go to Chile, one of the biggest producers of copper in the world is a state-owned mine, Codelco. But Codelco exists side by side BHP and then Rotinto and Co in Chile. So we could do the same thing here. The minister was very categorical. It was followed by a letter strongly to Newmont, and it says that any sale or anybody who acquire the mine, we will not approve, or government will not approve it unless it has a strong local participation. So that caveat is already out there. So it means that, granted, some of the players who put in a bid let's say Asante Gold, assuming they were to win, that satisfies that particular clause of government, because Asante Gold is almost close to about 50% owned by, Ghanaians, both the state and the people. I mean, MIF has investment there. This is public knowledge. GIF has investment, and individual Ghanaians have investment. So then nobody will have to look over your shoulder and say, can we check this? They already qualify, because there's a heavy dose of state and Ghanaian participation. There were the other companies who also put in a bid. Granted, they don't have this heavy dose of local participation. It is now for us to say, okay, it's just like the way your father sees you hobnobbing with the some girl be. At the end of the day, there will be a decision as to whether the marriage should go on or not. So at the end of the day, if some other company wins, other than many of the ones that we think they are strongly local, it is up to us to show them. And I know Newmont, for example, had shown all of them this. That look, this is government policy. So whoever wins will call you and say, okay, Nana Mining Company, you are the one who has been, giving the nod. Okay, this is our policy. We told them before. So, and I'm sure you are aware. So now you have to sit with government to say, how do you meet this government policy of local participation? Are we going to pour in money from MIF, or are you going to, give more interest or stake to government? I mean, there are various ways of killing a cat. We will get there. So even granted that some other companies don't get and some other companies get it, we will still invoke that local content or local participation rule, which was made clear to Newmont right from day one.
Okay.
That whoever, we don't care who you sell to, but as government that has to approve it finally, this is what we want. We want some strong local participation. So when we get there, we'll cross that bridge.
Okay.
So that's government's trump card.
Okay.
In any case, granted that is not indicated. If you are acquiring a mineral property, you go under two provisions. You either go by way of an assignment, so Nana owns it, and then she's assigning to you. So you go under Section 14 of the mining law, or through sale of shares, you go under Section 52. Either way, you require government approval. So government can get up and say, well, fine, you've gone through the process. For a wise reason, we are objecting. And that ends it.
Okay.
It means Newmont has to continue to run it. Or perhaps go through another process again. I don't know. But as I said, let's be patient and allow our hardworking minister to tell the people of Ghana that, look, this is the outcome. And then maybe the journalist will say, but there's this provision. How do you get them addressed? He will answer that. Or
fantastic. Well, thanks very much. Evidently, government will have the final say.
Oh, yeah, government will have this
and
final say.
Indigenization is on course. My heart is at rest at this point.
My heart is also at rest. And we'll push that.
Yeah.
I mean, and let me just wrap up by saying that the indigenization is taking various forms. Again, we'll have a time to discuss how do we indigenize the mining sector. We've done a lot of work in the area of local content. One way, we are out, state ownership is totally out of the question. We won't go back to that thing. It's like this ban on small scale. We did it didn't work. We won't go back. Okay? Yes. So one way is to go to the MIF angle. MIF is a sovereign wealth of Ghana, and that, is pouring funds into various, mines. So Atlantic Lithium, to their local subsidiary Barari. They've done it in Asante. They are even investing in selected small-scale mines. And we are not the only thing. I mean, if you go to Norway, this is a $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund. Yeah. They've invested all over the world. Okay? So we are not the only country that do that. So that's one route. Another route, go to the stock exchange for Ghanaians to buy, like we did for Atlantic Lithium. That got listed sometimes in June, July, thereabout. That's another route. Okay? Another route too is you insist that there's some minimum Ghanaian participation. So our Elon Musk and Dangote too, or people who are also rich, sometimes not just individuals, institutions. So again, I'll single out the number one institution I keep mentioning everywhere. I'm sure I'm their public enemy number one. SNIT. That sits on our billions. I'm a shareholder like you. Don't you pay SNIT contributions for the workers here? So I keep saying that they should diversify their portfolios. I'm sure they have. I'm not the one that said it. They told us some years back that all their investment in manufacturing didn't work. So you can imagine if SNIT has taken, let's say, $10 million CD equivalent of pensions contributions in January when the price of gold was 2030 to buy just gold. Nanaya, do you know the price of gold at this hour? It's over 2,600. Okay. Now, can you get the answer?
That have made an easily close to about.
That is a kill for government.
Yeah,
that's a kill.
40%.
Oh yeah.
Profit margin on it.
So if Newmont has bought, $10 million CD equivalent. Let's use 16. That's how much?
That's 1.6
billion, or even take $1 billion. CDs of pensions contributions. So and if they are bought gold in January, the average price of gold in January is 2030. Have you checked the price of gold?
It's quoting me between 2,594, just under, and 2,585.
Yes, this morning when I was entering the studio, it went a little above. No, actually, it's 2,606. It's crossed 2,600. So assuming,
even if we conservatively work with 2,000,
so at least $500 an ounce.
Yeah,
2.6
times.
Which investment can you get?
Times 10 million. Baby,
my brother.
A word to the wise.
Investment ben $500 on it.
A word to the wise.
And please, the price of gold is not going down any moment for several reasons. You just heard US cutting interest rate, which is good for gold, because it means that securities and co they are not that of value. So people flee. And then geopolitics, the kind of nonsense that is happening in the Middle East, it's also good for gold. And then this aggressive buying by central banks is also what is fueling it. Then the Asians, Chinese and co are buying gold like never before, and a host of other factors. So for us, the close to the end of the year, and perhaps maybe next year, the price of gold will never fall drastically. So the best bet. So it is still not too late for SNIT.
I agree with you on that one. Thank you very much.
Even if they buy now, and
they will still make some good.
And then it stays around 2.6. They will still make some $50,000 or $100,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And gold is priced in dollars. So they better hurry. I keep saying this. They better hurry. So
Mr. Martin Ayisi, thank you so much for sharing these valuable insights with us. We look forward to having you back next week.
Yes,
because
so
I think we've only probably discussed about 10% of the things I feel
1%.
are very important. Yeah, we haven't even scratched the surface. But you've been listening to the Accountability Hour on the Asaase Breakfast Show. We've been talking to Mr. Martin Ayisi, who's sharing his stewardship of the Minerals Commission and the successes so far. Great opportunities in the sector. Pay attention and join us again for more. As we go back with him next week over our Accountability Hour. We're extending the Asaase Breakfast Show slightly because our friends from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center are here with us. And